What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video, and in today's video I want to talk about something that might be a little bit controversial to some, but I am ready to say it. The New York Jets offensive line is good. Hold on a minute. Didn't Joe Douglas try to spend pretty much his entire tenure building out the offensive line? You're telling me that last year the line was so bad and the last 2 years the line was so bad, and really for a long time the line's been bad, and this year it's finally, a good offensive line? How could that be? Weren't some blaming the offensive line play for Aaron Rodgers' inefficiencies early on in the year, and even as recently as now? Yes, but they've mostly been wrong. The Jets' offensive line in their current form is a good offensive line. If you want to point out when Tyron Smith was playing or when Morgan Moses was banged up and you had to see Max Mitchell or Carter Warren, or when you were playing Olu Fashanu at guard, like that is completely different. And there was a 2-week stretch, 2 out of their, how many games? 14 that they've played this year, where the offensive line underperformed. And it was early on in the year against Denver, and it was against the Minnesota Vikings when, 1, the Jets were beat up, and number 2, when they faced the 2 heaviest blitzing teams in the NFL. Pretty much since then, and again, I want to reiterate, especially when they are in their current form as they've been the last few weeks, this unit has performed and performed well. I want to highlight Olu Fashanu because he has been really good since coming in and playing left tackle, and that's exciting for this team. In a lost year, having Olu come in and be able to play at this level already is a very good sign. Finding your franchise left tackle is not easy. Just ask the New York Jets, as they've been trying to find that long-term answer at the position ever since you lost to Brickashaw Ferguson after the 2015 season when he retired. They have not had a long-term stable answer. Calvin Beachum was okay for a couple years. George Fant was okay as a Band-Aid for a year. And now with Olu, a first-round pick, he has been really good this year, and it's exciting. 1 sack allowed and 4 quarterback hits on the year. His pass pro, he was described as the best pass-protecting offensive lineman coming out in this past draft, and it's lived up to that. He's allowed just 5 pressures over the last 3 games and no sacks. I don't know what else you could possibly ask from him. Plus, on top of that, we all knew that the run blocking was going to need a little bit to get up to speed, but I think he's been more than fine as a run blocker this year. Don't get it twisted. Like, he's not going to, I'm not saying put this guy in the Hall of Fame. He's been amazing, but he has been a stable force at left tackle, and that is a really good sign. Then at left guard, you have John Simpson, who may very well end up going down as Joe Douglas's best free agent signing. Yeah, DJ Reed's probably in the running for that too, but John Simpson has been one of the league's best guards in the NFL this year. Not hyperbole. 1 sack and 13 pressures allowed on the season. That's less than 1 pressure per game. 1 sack in 14 games. And on top of that, when looking at him as a run blocker, he's probably been their best all-around run blocking offensive lineman and their best all-around offensive lineman this year. Coming into the season, when he came from Baltimore, he was best known for his mean streak in the run game, but what I haven't been impressed is him in pass protection. He's done a really good job. Joe Tippmann settling in at center is nice to see. 3 sacks and 18 pressures on the season. His run blocking has also greatly improved from year 1 into year 2. Snaps haven't been a consistent issue for him. It's popped up a time or 2 over the season, and that's something that you clearly would like to be ironed out. Ask the Giants if they would have rathered Joe Tippmann over the pick from a couple years ago. John Michael Schmitz has not been nearly as good. Tippmann was a bit of a surprise pick for the New York Jets in that draft 2 years ago, but he has seemed like the better center and is developing into a plus starter. The Jets on the left side of the line to center have 3 plus starters in a row, and the same thing could be said about Elijah Vera Tucker at right guard now. 4 sacks, 13 pressures on the year, 1 sack in his last 6 games. I think he settled in nicely back at guard. He might not be as flashy as maybe we would have hoped, right? Like AVT, he was in his first year, at left guard, I thought was really good. Then got hurt the last 2 years, bounced around between guard and tackle. This year, they've just put him at right guard. He's stayed at right guard, and he's been, again, mostly good. I'm not saying like he does these things on tape where you're going, oh my God, like this is Zach Martin 2.0. But again, another good starting offensive lineman. And last but really not least, I think the big leader on this offensive line, Morgan Moses at right tackle. 1 sack, 12 pressures on the season. He has played 12 of the 14 games. Went on the field. He's an absolute stud. He's playing through injury again, and playing pretty well. But I really would strongly consider bringing him back next year. I get it. He's in his mid-30s now. Some might want to move on or try to find something else. I'm not saying you can't draft at some point, not in the first round, but at some point can't add a tackle to develop someone who's maybe better depth than Carter Warren or Max Mitchell. But Moses he was good in 2021. He's been good since they reacquired him. He's a leader. I would strongly consider bringing him back next year. Like I said, I think he is a good player to have on your team and someone who could play for me any day. So again, from left to right, can't ask for too much better. They've been good. My favorite part is for an incoming GM and an incoming coach, they're going to see this offensive line. Olu Fashanu's just 22, John Simpson's 27, Joe Tippmann's 23, Elijah Vera Tucker's 25. 4 of your 5 offensive linemen are under contract already for next year, and all those guys are 27 or younger. They should all grow and continue to develop together. The Jets have had so much turnover on the offensive line, and that's a big reason why they haven't been successful. Sure, they haven't found the right pieces. That's part of it too, but they have a really good young core group of guys that they could continue to grow together. And chemistry is such an important part on the offensive line. So seeing those guys, those 4 are going to be back as starters next year, excites me. And why not keep the 5th piece and try to find that long-term developmental answer at right tackle somewhere in the mid-rounds? I think that's your best plan of attack. Not to mention, they're doing this with Keith Carter, who is widely regarded as not a very good offensive line coach, a guy who butts heads with players, someone that players don't really like playing for. The Jets are going to have a new staff next year, hopefully an improved offensive line coach. I think they've been, again, like I said, a good offensive line. Are they an elite offensive line? I'm not ready to go there yet, but there is a lot of potential with this offensive line, and I think this is only the beginning. This is good news for the Jets. Again, 4-10, lost season, really stinks. But finding your 4 out of 5, 80% of your offensive line, them playing well, them being a young group that can continue to play together for the next few years, hopefully, that's a damn good thing. Let me know your thoughts. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.